Welcome to the link this week, second edition for this year. As we continue, determined to continue despite hiccups, COVID-19 continues, but we want to continue doing business as we go. And we want to share with you information you can use on the business side, on the consumer side. Tonight our discussion is the Data Protection and Privacy Act. It's a law that protects data. When you hear data, you may think about science and research and all that, yes, but there is more to data than you can imagine. My guest tonight is Mr. Shaban Serunkuma, who is a consumer rights activist. And he has been at it for long, so he knows things that he's going to be talking about. Mr. Shaban, the Data Protection and the Privacy Act, briefly tell us about what this law is about.
Thank you so much, Samuel. This law provides for the protection of data, rather those from whom data is collected, because this is what ordinary people will understand, by putting obligations on the part of those who collect this data, those who control it, and those who process it. Okay. And it also provides for the rights of those from whom the data is collected by ensuring that their privacy is protected, as well as the integrity of the personal information that has been shared.
Okay, and people will wonder, when they hear data, they think about things in science, as I said earlier. When we said data, give us an example of some of the data. With simple example, so we get it. Yeah,
data, of course, is derived, or information, is derived from information that ordinarily people share. But in this context, if we are to look at personal information, people should not look at data as merely text and figures and so on, because it also includes images, sounds, and so on. We are in the digital era, and people are sharing this all the time. You upload your images, you upload sounds, and so on. So people form opinions, and these opinions are uploaded, or they are captured by either service providers or those that provide the platforms for communication. And this information, to the ordinary users, when they are done with, with usage of these applications, probably they might think things end there. But this information or data is stored sometimes, and many times it's actually shared. But there is also the worst case scenario, that it is traded, and traded to people you may not know. And they are likely to put it to use in areas you may not even be aware of. Of course, the most common area where it might be shared or used is in direct marketing. And that is strictly prohibited in this law. And that is the...
Okay, roughly. So all personal information that you're going to share with someone, it can be business, it can be government institution, NIRA, Electoral Commission, passport office. It can be business, like you're going to hospital to register and stuff like that. Your child is born there, they keep that information. All that is included in this data that this law pertains to. Mr. Shaban, let's move on. What general rights does this law grant me? I'm the one giving the information to somebody else, government or private person. What rights does this law grant me in as far as the institution is concerned and my personal information? Let's start with that one.
Yeah, the rights given to those who share their personal information are probably in 5 broad areas. One is the right to access that information. To give you a very simple example, those who use social media and those who generally share their personal information normally have a page that is aggregated with all their information. When, for instance, they're opening up an account or they are, submitting this information for the very first time, you normally have that aggregated page, and the system will prompt you to give consent. Of course, after going through this information to ensure that it's complete, accurate, and sometimes it comes in with, it might prompt you for consent to use this information in various areas. And now this is where the problem or the biggest challenge comes in. Because most consumers or users or netizens, call them whatever, they're normally in a hurry. And sometimes this is where it all, the trouble starts. You might be prompted to give your consent, and within there, you have to scroll and read the terms and conditions, all the information pertaining to this consent. It might even have hyperlinks leading you to even other documents. Now, either it is the new normal that people are in a hurry and they do not look at details, or it is simply, an adopted attitude.
But the company has done its best.
It has done its work. And beware that in future, if you raised a complaint in this respect, whether there has been a what you might think is a data breach, you may have given your consent in advance, that this information could be shared with their partners. And then they give you a list of partners through a hyperlink, and you've not even taken the trouble to go into there. And therefore, you are serving your rights away on a silver platter.
Okay, we need to move on because of time. So one right was access to that information.
Yes.
What are the others?
Their rights to you have to. There's a provision in there for prevention of sharing information in systems that make automated decisions. Now we are in the era of cutting-edge technologies. We have artificial intelligence, augmented reality, all those things. And you might give your consent not knowing that in the end, a machine is going to be taking the decision on how your personal information is going to be used. And if you are sensitive that this information could be used in ways that could be prejudicial to your interests, then you better withhold your consent, or you have to understand,
what you're going into.
Yes, what you're going into before you finally give your consent into this. And then there is there's a right to how your information would be shared, and it has also other implications. And also a right to withholding of information, personal information from use in direct marketing. Because now, if you have been prompted at the beginning that your information could be used in direct marketing, and then you say yes, whereas the government of Uganda has taken it has played its part
in the law,
in protecting you, because in the law it is prohibited, and there is even a fine for that. One who is found in breach of this, and if they're found guilty, they could be, fined up to 5 million shillings, or to a jail term of not exceeding 10 years.
So if you use my information for marketing when I've not told you, the law says
yes,
no.
Yes, the law says no, and it prescribes that penalty. And I think it's fair. I should thank the legislators, and they were in this 10th parliament, whose tenure, expires in May. You did a good job, and the Right Honourable Speaker Kadaga with your team, you did a good job. So the law is not, it gives sufficient protection, because if I compare it to other legislation, for instance, in the EU, you have similar levels of protection. So I think our law is good enough.
If I have issues, I go to this law and I see that some business or some institution or even government has messed around and broken the law, where do I go to report?
The regulator in this respect is the National Information Technology Authority, Uganda, and that is the regulator. with respect to this law.
Yeah.
But there is also the Office for Protection of Data. It is also located within, and it would ordinarily, it has that specialization of, it's the industry ombudsman. So it would be attending to those complaints and to find a way of redressing them.
In 1 minute, Shaban, I have those people take our information and then they refuse to give it to us. Should they refuse to give it to us?
Yes, this is personal information, and all information taken from you by hospitals, especially because if they're in the process of investigating an illness or a condition, they will take images and so on, and those fall in the category of information because it includes images, sounds, etc. So you have a right to that information. But again, there is need for the minister for ICTs to come up with regulations that would specify the obligations for various service providers with respect to personal information or data. So if this is done, then we will not have ambiguities. Because sometimes they'll be telling you, we've already diagnosed your condition and we have prescribed treatment for you. What else do you want? And some consumers might be saying, well, maybe I don't need to go into that. But maybe you need to have a record of your information. And that is your personal, it's a right to you.
Thank you very much. I feel that we have not done justice to this discussion, but that's the time they give me. And I'm still hoping that I'm going to get more time because these are very important issues. It's an environment where you give your personal information at all levels, many times with your phone, registering online. People are going to use that information in the wrong way or to your disadvantage. The law says you are protected. Do you know your rights? This is what we've been trying to scratch on the surface tonight, and we are trying to awaken you to your rights in terms of your data. That was the link. Thank you for joining us tonight.